we could describe the past few decades as perhaps moving from a two-party system to some kind of hegemon, which you described, I don't know what you would call that, it was a brief time in history. And then maybe there was a short period where people were calling it multipolar, so maybe this is a parliamentary system. And now we're again seeing the emergence of a two-party system that rhymes with history, perhaps. Using the political science glasses, can we make the leap to say that cooperation is less likely or more likely? I mean, if you think about a parliamentary system and all these vying interests, it's very chaotic. You can't get anyone to agree on anything. And then the opposite, a two-party system is pragmatic and practical in the sense that parties can organize their arguments and make concessions. I think it's Richard Haas who believes that the current system is going to see such a closing of the power gaps that you'll actually see less cooperation. But Harry, do you see more or less cooperation for this time?
That's a wonderful question. In fact, as I was thinking about where we have come from, I think that is, in a way, the key question, if you were going to use my analogy, is bipartisanship possible? I don't think we had a two-party system before. I think we really did have, during the Cold War, two separate communities. But globalization, the end of the Cold War, has created this emergent, this embryonic, this incomplete international community. I think the United States has hoped it would be, in the political science term, as a single-party dominant system, where basically our role in the international community would be approximately the same as the LDP's role in Japan. We basically run things, and there may be some opposition parties, but they never get elected. Their influence is minimal. And what I'm suggesting is that we are unlikely to enjoy that degree of hegemony politically within this community, and we're going to have to be able to wage a different kind of competition than we were used to in the past, when it was seen as a military competition against enemies or even an ideological competition against another community. But to answer your question about the prospects for bipartisanship, in other words, for cooperation, let me make the optimistic view and then have the others rip me apart. One way that you get bipartisanship is when the problems are so great that both parties realize that they have to work together or the consequences will be extremely dire. And I suspect that climate change is going to be one. Perhaps energy security will be another. We have a number of issues that are so compelling that an optimist would say it compels cooperation in a spirit of the equivalent of bipartisanship. Secondly, I would suggest that fortunately the major representatives, the leaders of these two parties so far, are not extreme. Certainly China, and if we take David's comment seriously, as I do, Russia, are not extreme sort of conservative populists. They're somewhere in the center of the spectrum. The United States has been, I think, extreme, but it is moving back towards the center of the spectrum, and I think certainly Europe and Japan would be there as well. So that to the extent that the leaders are closer to the center, you have a greater space for and prospects for bipartisanship. And then finally, and this draws on something that the Chinese often talk about and that I take extremely seriously, actually, and that is how much sort of personal contact, personal trust, personal relationships are there. If you listen to people in Washington, including those who have lived there a long time, talk about what's broken about our system, one of the things they emphasize is the absence of personal contact and relationships among members of Congress, that they are so busy doing other things that they don't have time to interact in a social way, and then the partisanship and the nastiness take over. So there is a personal dimension to this as well. I'm not sure where we are here, but I think that it's something that deserves attention as we get a new administration. A President McCain or a President Obama, I think, needs to spend some time actually meeting with his counterparts, not only within what I've called the the elitist Reform Party, but also the more bipartisan-minded members of the populist Conservative Party as well.